What's going on, guys? Boss Basics here, back to another video, and today here to give you guys yet another collection update video. Yay, another collection update. It's only been about what, 3 weeks since I did my last one, or just about a month ago. This is basically kind of a continuation of the last collection update video that I did, where again, bunch of albums, but I decided to split them up into a couple different stacks. And actually, believe it or not, I already have another stack on the way. I'm actually looking at it right now because I do nothing but collect CDs and listen to music because, well, I really want to expand my horizon when it comes to my metal listenings and listen to some pretty interesting albums. This is stack I have here is mainly kind of death metal oriented stuff, which I'm a little happy to listen to because I want to expand my death metal horizon. And a couple of these are actually going to be part of some retro reviews that I plan on doing in the future. So, yeah, there is that. So, yeah, I guess without further ado, let's get into these CDs. And in case you guys didn't know, I did get a haircut. So, yay me, I guess. I don't really know. But anyways, enough of my talk. Let's get into these CDs. Let me go right there for a second. Alright, so the first CD I have here is Decapitated Nelody. This is the second studio album from these Polish tech death wizards. I've been meaning to check out this band for a while now, considering I heard nothing but great stuff about their first two, or actually their first four albums. This one, Winds of Creation, their debut, I hear is absolutely phenomenal, but also The Negation, and especially Organic Hallucinosis, that came out, I believe, after this album. Yeah, I've been hearing some good stuff about these guys as well. They're basically this up-and-coming tech death band, and these guys were young, especially on their debut album, where I think VTech, I believe, is that his name, VTech? Yeah, VTech. He was like 14 when that album dropped. These guys are now a little bit older, but still kind of having that that teen energy. I mean, you just look at the back of the album cover. I mean, these guys look really young for their age. But this is a 2025 reissue from Earache Records. And yeah, this album is fucking killer if you ask me. This is just some damn good tech death here. A lot of machine gun like riffage, and especially some machine gun like drumming, especially on the kick drum, which I guess my only complaint with it is that the kick drum is pretty clicky on this album, but it didn't bother me too much to the point where it was like, oh my god, just please mix it differently, please. Yeah, absolutely killer stuff. There's some awesome riffs on this album, and I love the vocals. In particular, like Vogue is just killing on the drums. You have Martin on bass, again, VTech on drums, and Sauron, I believe that's how you say his name. Absolutely killer cadences. Perfect Dehumanization, The Answer, question mark. Eternity Too Short, Mother War's fun. The title track, Anti-Human Manifesto. Names, I feel like is kind of a deep cut on here. Spheres of Madness. I mean, that is like the big standout on this album. But Babylon's Pride, Cemetery of Zero has a nice groove to it. And they even do a really damn good cover of Suffer the Children by Napalm Death, which is really nice if you ask me. But yeah, this is just some killer stuff right here. A 2000s death metal classic if you ask me. So yeah, I was really happy to get this one. This is some really killer tech death right here. And if you haven't listened to this album, check this bad boy out. It's absolutely killer. Alright, my next one. A fellow viewer might be happy, wink wink nudge nudge, that I have this album in my collection. And I am going to be doing a retro review for this album, probably after I do my Carnage retro review that is going to be coming out. Just might be working on it maybe sometime this week, if not next week. But I do plan on doing my Carnage retro review. But Demolage, Nespeth. This is the lone studio album from this, where are they from again? This Finnish, the way they describe this band's very fucking weird. Tech death, avant-garde, death doom, death metal, jazz, funk, new metal, black metal, hardcore, slam, glam, hair metal. I'm kidding. What it says on the Metal Archives is technical avant-garde death metal. Yeah, I am very intrigued how this album's going to be. This is actually a 2025 reissue on Zvert Records. Yeah, this is the Alone Studio album from these guys, and yeah, I heard the music is interesting and the vocals are bizarre, for lack of a better word. Auntie Bowman is a very divisive vocalist in the metal world out there, but I will be giving my thoughts on this album. I've only heard like a little snippet of some songs and even some of the vocals, and I won't give my full opinion on them, but it is interesting, to say the least. I will say that right here, right now. But yeah, I will be giving my full review for this album when I get to it. Trust me, I will get to it this year. I'm very interested as to how it's going to be. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. So yeah, Demiurge Nespith. All right, next one I have here. I actually have listened and I actually did a bit of a retro review or a retrospective of this band, but Dissection with the Somberlane. This is the debut album from, I believe, this Norwegian, the Swedish black metal, black and death metal, melodeath kind of act. I've heard some people say this might be their best album. It's obviously Storm in the Light's Bane for me, but they're not too wrong when they say that this is one of their best. I mean, obviously, it's only 3 albums. We don't really talk about Reign Chaos. That album sucks. But, yeah, this is really damn good stuff right here. I believe, was this produced by Dan Swano? Yeah, this is engineered by Dan Swano. I knew he was part of the production for this one. This is a 2004 reissue on Black Lodge. I think Black Lodge Records or Recordings, something like that. I can't fully remember. But, yeah, this is just some killer stuff right here. And I was very happy to get this album. Black Horizons is a big standout, the title track. A Land Forlorn, Heaven's Damnation is a killer track. Frozen in the Cold Winds of Nowhere is a great song. The Grief Prophecy, Shadows Over a Lost Kingdom. That's great stuff right there. Mistress of the Bleeding Sorrow is a damn good stuff. And even the final track, which there's like 2-3 instrumentals on this album, but they all kind of flow really well. Of Crimson Towers, Into Infinite Obscurity, and Feathers Fall, or Feathers Fell, I should say. Yeah, this is just killer stuff right here. Again, I do think Storm in the Light's Bane's a little bit better because it's a little more dynamic, a lot more atmosphere going on. I think the songwriting got a little bit tighter on the album. But for a debut album, I mean, this is fucking killer stuff right here. I mean, John Zwetzelut really showing off his guitar chops. I really love Ol Almond. Doing really good on the drums there as well. And of course, John Nodvite, a very controversial figure in his own right, puts on a hell of a vocal performance. But yeah, killer stuff right here. Absolutely great stuff. Some good old nice 90s extreme metal from this band. And yeah, it's killer. Killer stuff right here. Absolutely recommended. Alright, so we go from one extreme to another. Next up, Dying Fetus, Purification Through Violence. This is the debut studio album from this this Maryland-based, they're originally kind of a death grind or kind of a grindcore kind of band. Now they're just a straight-ahead, brutal death metal band with a little bit of that grind aesthetics in there as well. But yeah, this is it's a rough production, in all honesty, but killer fucking songwriting throughout. I love the songs on this album, man. Just absolutely insane vocals throughout. The album artwork is weird. I don't know what that is. It's Jesus on a metallic crab of some description. I have no idea what the hell is going on there, but the songs are just brutal as they are awesome. Like Blunt Force Trauma, Beaten into Submission has an awesome groove. Like almost immediately, like the groove on this album, you could instantly tell it's theirs. Like when you listen to like some like other brutal death metal albums, like a Suffocation album or maybe like a Pyrexia or a Deeds of Flesh album, that you can kind of hear that that like Dying Fetus like groove, and it's exemplified on other songs like Permanently Disfigured and Nothing Left to Pray For, but also Skull Fucked is awesome. I love the vocal dynamics in that song in particular, where Jason Netherton's like saying, I hate you motherfuckers, I hate you motherfuckers, and then here comes John Gallagher's like, and all that stuff. Killer stuff right there. Nocturnal Crucifixion's awesome. Scum Fuck the Week is a fun track. Raped on the Altar's fun. This is great stuff too, and this is a 2010 Relapse reissue actually. And the two bonus tracks were a rehearsal demo for Beaten in Submission that came out in '97, and Raped on the Altar was a kind of a live track in Germany in 1998. So yeah, kind of rough production to start off this band, but killer songs, absolutely killer stuff. They would get better afterwards. I hear War of Attrition's fantastic, Killing on Adrenaline's awesome, Destroy the Opposition, Stop at Nothing, Reign Supreme, which I have, is just insane album, and their last album was awesome as well. They were all Dying Fetus was really good, so again, kind of rough production to start things off, but killer songwriting throughout. Really damn good stuff. I really enjoy it. It's a nasty, brutal, raw listen throughout, but I absolutely love it. It's unhinged, but fantastic. So yeah, killer stuff right here. Great, great, great way to start off a career. All right, the next one I have here is another death metal classic, Entombed with Clandestine? Clandestiny? It's Clandestine. I did that for you Thralls of Metal viewers out there. But yeah, Entombed's Clandestine. This is the first album without LG on vocals. This is actually the second album from these Swedish death metal, I guess Swedish extreme metal legends, if you will, because they would immediately shift from one extreme to another almost instantaneously with the follow-up, which is Wolverine Blues. But I'll get to that when I get to that in the future. But yeah, this is actually the first album, and I believe the only album without LG on vocals. There was a bit of a dispute there, but eventually LG came back on the fall of Wolverine Blues. So Nick Anderson, I believe, who was the guitarist, I believe, is actually on doing vocals, and he puts on a pretty good performance. I like LG's vocals more. I will say the vocals are a little hokey. They are a little silly on this album, but I kind of like it for what it is, all things considered. And while the songs I don't think are quite as strong as Left Hand Path, I will say the guitars and mainly the production got even heavier, I would say, which is an accomplishment to no degree. And this is a 2019 reissue from Earache Records as well. A lot of reissues I have here. It's not my fault, but anyways. Yeah, this is some killer stuff. Living Dead, Sinners Bleed, Blessed Be, Stranger Ions, Chaos Breed's awesome, Severe Burns, Through the Colonnades. I mean, there's some killer riffs and some nice grooves on this album. I just think Left Hand Path is a better album, but if I ever do a ranked Entombed, this is a close number 2 because killer stuff, absolutely killer stuff right here, and I love the album artwork that was done by the legendary Dan Seagrave. Yeah, this is just some killer stuff right here. Again, not quite as strong as Left Hand Path, but still a really damn good album, all things considered. And honestly, if this was a debut album from any other Swedish death metal band, this might have been their best album. Again, it's kind of saying something because, you know, the other Swedish death metal bands like Dismember, Carnage, you know, Unleashed, and, you know, a myriad of other bands were releasing some really damn good death metal albums at this point. Grave is another one that I hear. But yeah, I've heard some really damn good stuff from, like, all those other albums, but this one right here, this is the creme de la creme, if you ask me. So yeah, killer stuff right here. Not as good as Left Hand Path, but still worthy of the Entombed catalog, if you ask me. Alright, next the one I have is actually an EP, and this is from Mayhem with Avastic Black Disorder / Commando. This is the latest EP from these Norwegian black metal legends. I talked about it when I did my Mayhem ranking, but I didn't obviously talk about the EP in question because I don't rank EPs when it comes to when it comes to my rankings, but this is some solid work right here. You can kind of tell they were somewhat going into a somewhat different direction off of Damon, or Demon, however you pronounce that word. But yeah, this is some good stuff. Only 3 original tracks, and the rest were all cover songs, which I thought was really nice. Again, some interesting dynamics going on with this album, especially on Black Glass Communion in particular, and Everlasting Dying Stone. Or a Dying Flame, not Stone, Dying Flame. You know, Attila's still doing those like more operatic-like vocals that he's been doing throughout his entire career. Mainly kind of a callback to Dave Mysterious, all things considered, but still some fun songs, and even the covers are pretty interesting on this album. Like In Defense of Our Future, which was originally done by Discharge. Holy shit, that song is absolutely killer. It has a bit of more of a black and punk kind of vibe, and more thrashy nods. Absolutely killer stuff. Hell Nation, which is a Dead Kennedys cover. Only Death, which is a Rudimentary Penny cover. And they actually do a cover of Commando by the Ramones, which is interesting to say the least. And I love that original song, by the way. Yeah, this is some pretty good stuff right here. I love the album artwork. The album artwork's pretty good too. I mean, it's Mayhem. Their last couple of albums have, or last 2, I should say, have been really damn good. I talked about Liturgy of Death, and Mayhem's my number 2, Demon's my number 2 Mayhem album. But yeah, this is a pretty fun EP. Really enjoyed this one. Again, the cover songs are fun, but the originals are really damn good as well. So, yeah, pretty good EP right there. All right. Just about done here. Let's close these tabs and we go on to the next album I have here, Necrophagus Epitaph. This is the second and final studio album from these German tech death wizards. Yeah, I'll be going over this album when I do my Necrophagus deep dive here, because I've been hearing some good stuff about this band. I heard that their debut album, Onset to Putrefaction, is pretty good, but I hear that this album is better here. And yeah, I'm curious to see how this album is. This came out in 2004, and that's all you really need to say. This was released on Relapse Records. And yeah, that's all I gotta really say. Can't really say much more about it. I did hear the opening track, Stab Wound, is very nice, so I heard that's a really killer track. But yeah, I'll give my full thoughts when I do my Necrophagus deep dive, so be on the lookout for that. Alrighty, next up I have here is a prog death metal classic, Opeth Still Life. This is the 4th studio album from these progressive death metal legends, Swedish prog metal legends, if you will. This was actually produced by one Fredrik Nordstrom, who is a legendary producer in his own right. This is on Peaceville Records, a 2008 reissue, if you will. So yeah, 9 years after the fact for this album, and this one is more of a concept album, like the previous album, My Arms Your Hearse. Michael Ockerfeld says that this isn't a Christian and not a satanic album, but more of an anti-Christian album about where the story is, it takes place a long time ago where Christianity was more important than it was today, and the main character is kind of banished from his hometown because he doesn't have the same faith as the rest of the people have there. And basically, when he returns several years after hooking up with his old babe, things started going bad down there. And, you know, the big bosses of the town knew that he was back. And, again, more things were happening. They were calling him more of a hypocrite and more of a devil's advocate, if you will. And it basically portrays the protagonist, Love, a.k.a. Melinda, and basically goes through the motions of her and ultimately led to her demise of her murder and the main character going on a rampage against the ones responsible, where the album closer, White Cluster, would actually conclude with the death of the protagonist and Melinda meeting in the afterlife. So, I mean, it's not really a convoluted story. It's actually a really well-told story if you really think about it right there. But again, you guys know my feelings on prog metal. I'm not really particularly fond of the genre. I think the genre is kind of just not for me, not my style. But this is some prog metal I can get behind because the story is really well told. I love the production. The vocals are fantastic. The guitars have a nice crunch to them. And even Michael's growls on this album are absolutely stellar. The opening track, The More, really sets the tone for this album. Godhead's Lament, Benighted is so damn beautiful. Moonlapse Vertigo took me a while to get into. That one I really wasn't into as much as the other songs. Again, with prog, I kind of zone out a little bit at times because sometimes it's just kind of prog winkery and guitar noodling for the sake of it. But Serenity Painted Death is a big standout, and of course White Cluster is so beautiful, but the more heavier tracks like Godhead's Lament and Serenity Painted Death in particular really set the tone for this album. Yeah, this is killer stuff, and if my buddy Levi is ever watching this video, here you go, dude, this one's for you, because I've been telling him I would like to listen to some Opeth, even though, again, I'm not a prog metal guy. This one kind of turns me into respecting the genre a little bit more in some aspects. Again, I'm not really too big on prog metal. I really don't get the appeal of it. I don't really get the hype for it. But when it's done right, it's done right. I really do enjoy this one. So yeah, it's heavy, it's lush, it's absolutely beautiful, haunting, but very good all simultaneously. So yeah, killer stuff right here. Really, really, really good listen. Alrighty. So, oh shit, didn't mean to do that. Hold up 1 second. Let me go back. I accidentally deleted that. Actually, you know what? Never mind. I know what I'm talking about. Anyways, what I am talking about is the next album, Pestilence with Consuming Impulse. This is the second studio album from this Dutch death metal act. This one, for those of you who are uninitiated, was the project for Martin Van Drunen before he eventually left to go join the legendary Asphyx. And, yeah, this right here, actually this is the alternative album cover, because this has a bit of an album sleeve right here, but on the back it doesn't say the track listing. This is a 2-disc. This is I believe, a reissue of some description from Hammerheart Records. Can't tell when this is a reissue. It doesn't really say, so yeah, I can't really tell on that one at all. But Martin also does the bass on this album. But yeah, this is some killer shit right here. There's still more thrash leanings on this album, like the debut album Malleus Maleficarum, which here is more thrash oriented. But this one still maintains that thrashy elements that I absolutely dig, and killer writing, killer songs throughout. Opening Dehydrated, the Process of Suffocation's a big standout, the Trauma, Out of the Body, which is probably my favorite track of the entire album, Echoes of Death, The Five Thy Master, Reduced to Ashes. Like, this is just a fun album. And even Martin's like trademark, like ghastly vocals, like the kind of like gasping vocals really do appear on this album. I guess more in particular, I guess the Five Eye Master and Echoes of Death in particular. Chronic Infection is a big standout too. But yeah, legendary album artwork too. It's a dude getting destroyed by ants, which is pretty fun. Yeah, this killer album, killer album right here. I was happy to get into Pestilence. They wouldn't quite go downhill afterwards, because I hear that the album afterwards, Testimony of the Ancients, is pretty good. And that's when Patrick Marmaduke really took over for the band and said a lot of dumb shit, for lack of a better word. But I heard this is really damn good stuff. I heard like their first 3 albums are really damn good. Everything else is kind of spotty afterwards. But yeah, really damn good stuff right here. Absolutely killer stuff. Legendary album. Classic. Whatever you need to say. Fantastic stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Alright, we go from one legendary album to another. Suffocation, Effigy of the Forgotten. This is the debut album from these New York brutal death metal legends. Basically, kind of the start of what made brutal death metal. And I was actually glad I got to listen to this album before I actually bought this, because for years, when I was really getting into death metal bands like Death and eventually Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, Obituary, Morbid Angel, when I was really getting into death metal, I was always hearing about Suffocation and be like, oh, you need to listen to, Suffocation, you need to listen to, Effigy of the Forgotten, Breeding the Spawn, and especially Pierce from Within. I'm like, okay, I'll get to them. I'll get to them eventually. So this is I actually listened to this album, I believe, last year on my way to my uncle's house, and jamming this for the first time, and holy damn was I ever taken back at just how unbelievably heavy this album is. Like, nothing in 1991 sounded as heavy as this album. Like, the only two albums I really think that were that heavy at this time was Death's Human and Cannibal Corpse's Butchered at Birth. But even at that, nothing was quite as heavy as this album. And the production done by the legendary Scott Burns just created this massive wall of sound that is absolutely devastating. From the opening track, Legion of Veracity, and for all of you Slam fans out there, there's some breakdowns on this album that really, really put that genre on the map, with bands like Devourment, for example. The title track, Infecting the Crypts. Oh my god, those riffs, those breakdowns are disgusting. And Terrence Hobbs, my god, I cannot sing that man's praises enough. Probably top 5 underrated guitarists of all time. Like, not just in extreme metal, but in metal as a whole. That dude just writes riffs like crazy. And there's some of that grind aesthetics that you get on this album, I guess, on Reincarnation and Involuntary Slaughter, where there's more of that Napalm Death kind of style, and you can hear it on this album, where I believe Frank and Terrence were heavily inspired by Napalm Death, like they were huge fans of the band at that time. But Frank Mullen's vocals are just gross. That's all you really need to know. Seeds of the Suffering, Habitual Infamy, and actually on Recremation and Mass Obliteration, Corpse Grinder does backing vocals on that album, and that's when I believe George was still a monstrosity at that point, before years later he would later go on to join Cannibal Corpse and so on and so forth. And Jesus Wept is another fantastic song. And actually, most of the songs on this album were actually taken from their Human Waste EP that I believe came out just a couple months before this album. Yeah, absolutely just gross sounding stuff. Doug Cerrito on guitar as well, Josh Barron on bass, and Mike Smith just kills it on the kit. And I believe I homaged this, and I said this on my last collection update video, that I believe the bassist for Atheist, Roger Patterson, who unfortunately passed away due to, I believe, a car accident or some kind of auto accident, actually Suffocation dedicated this album to them. And these guys are actually parts of Roadrunner history, because I believe the on the Human Waste EP, that was actually the first album released by Roadrunner Records. Back when you could trust Roadrunner Records, but that's a story for a different day. But yeah, this is a fantastic album. It's just brutal, just punishing, but absolutely fantastic at the same time. I don't know if it's my favorite. I still need to listen to the rest of the discography. Hell, their last album was killer. You guys remember my where I spot that on my top 20 albums of 2023. Yeah, this is some just killer stuff right here. People might say the production's a bit thin by comparison, and while I can agree to a lesser extent, the Paul Muta chugs on this album are just insane. But again, it creates that just dirty wall of sound that I absolutely dig on this album. So, yeah, can't say enough killer stuff about it. Absolutely classic. Suffocation, Effigy of Forgotten. Listen to it if you just want to feel gross. Alright, so my penultimate album for my collection update is going to be part of yet another retro review I plan on doing, Unholy, with the Second Ring of Power. This is the second studio album from this Finnish avant-garde death doom act that came out in 1994, and this is on Peaceful Records. And again, I haven't listened to this one. I'm going to be jamming Unholy when I do my retro review for that band, so be on the lookout for that. I'm curious. I'm very curious how this album is going to be. I hear that as the albums go on, it gets more weirder. I guess you could say. Yeah, I'm very curious to check this one out. So, yeah, be on the lookout for it, and I'll give my thoughts when I eventually do that retro review. And the final studio album that I have for you guys here is one I was very anticipated to check out because I do enjoy some of this guy's work, even though he is a massive, massive egotist, if you will. Yngwie Malmsteen with Fire and Ice. This is the 6th studio album from his solo career. Eventually he became Yngwie Malmsteen's rising force after a while. This will be the second and last sound to feature Göran Edman on vocals, and dude's an underrated vocalist. I feel like that guy never gets attention when it comes to range and vibrato, and has a little bit of a snarl to his vocals, which I really dig. And this is when Yngwie was really starting to flirt with that more symphonic elements that he's been somewhat teasing throughout his entire career. And some people may not know this as well, but this is when he was still flirting with that hair metal style. By while fading in 1982, especially around this time, was still pretty relevant. Hell, even like Warrant and Firehouse were still cracking the top 10 and even blowing off of some of the new bands, potentially Nirvana, by 93. They were still cracking the Billboard top 10s, for God's sake, around that time. And Yngwie, when he made Eclipse back in 1990, he blew up in popularity, and he wanted more with this one, especially on albums like Trilogy, the album beforehand, and especially Odyssey as well. So yeah, the more kind of symphonic / power metal leanings, along with that tinged hair metal style, do kind of work. And while this album, I wouldn't say from top to bottom is a borderline masterpiece, you still get more of that hair metal stylings on this album, like Teaser, Cry No More, which is one of my favorite tracks on this album. And also like probably the title track as well, and I guess you could say Leviathan as well. But you get some more of those like kind of like epic, grandiose styles of symphonic elements, like The Final Curtain, which is one of my favorite tracks in this entire album. Is so damn good. But probably the big standout is Forever Is a Long Time. I just love the riffs in that song in particular. Kind of a speed metal song, all things you considered. How Many Miles to Babylon is pretty cool too. And Golden Dawn is pretty nice as well. Now, I will say, while Yngwie I do think is a good guitarist, his style of play is very fucking sloppy. Like, there's some more kind of like bluesier moments, like bluesier riffs, like particularly on How Many Miles to Babylon and Cry No More. But yeah, it is pretty sloppy play, all things considered. I mean, hell, even Hendrix was pretty sloppy in his time. So, yeah, it's a good album. I wouldn't say it's like a borderline masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know what the hell is up with this album artwork. I mean, it might look cool on paper, but it looks pretty fucking stupid because it's like, what the hell is even going on here? But yeah, it's a solid album. I really do enjoy it for what it is. All I Want Is Everything's pretty fun too. It is a bit bloated. Like, there's 14 tracks on this album. The production, like, mainly the guitar, like the drums do sound pretty flat, all things considered, but it's not really about the production. It's all about the riffs and Yngwie just showing the fuck off because it's Yngwie. But yeah, good stuff. I really do enjoy this album. It's not, again, a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, but for kind of like trying to go for more commercial success, I think Yngwie did pretty well on this album. So yeah, good stuff all around. Really enjoyed the album. And that, folks, concludes this collection update video I have for you guys. What did you guys think about these albums? Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment, tap the big red subscribe button, and tap the bell so when I upload, you guys will be notified. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Most importantly, join the herd. Talk to you guys next video. Peace out.